You ready?
Yep.
But anyhow, it's enough about me.
Okay.
What's some of your background?
Okay, some of my background. Interesting, you may ask. First of all, I'm 55 years old, and I've been doing this for 27 years now. In a unique way, and in a unique manner. And I wasn't always a Christian, or if that's the terminology you want to use, a believer, depends what terminology you want to use. I was a young man that came to Australia from the UK, but my father was in the British Army, so I lived everywhere. I think I lived on 20 different places on 3 different continents before I was even 11 years old.
Wow.
So I was always moving.
I thought I was bad for moving around.
So I always had that gypsy in me, and I think I was 16 when I came to Australia, and I had a lot of internal pain, a lot of internal struggles. My parents are beautiful people, but my father being a soldier and that kind of thing, he didn't know how to father, so it was a very difficult upbringing. So I grew up with a lot of rejection, a lot of pain, and I sought out some way of healing that pain, and obviously drugs and alcohol are the things that a lot of young men go to.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, I think a lot of Christians actually, when they get older, can say that. And I met my wife Dawn when I was like 18, 19, and instantly fell in love. And then she too was a woman with lots of issues. So we clung to each other, and we got married very quickly, had children very quickly. And we lived a few years just trying to, get in our lives together, but with a lot of problems. And we were living in the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, and there's a lot of drugs up there, and that was causing a lot of problems. So my wife and I said, well, we've got to get away from the drugs, because we had children now. So we went to Bathurst, and it's kind of funny because Bathurst has a lot of alcohol. So I went from the drugs to the alcohol.
How many pubs
how many pubs in Bathurst, right? And what was
they don't
happening?
just open for the long weekend for the races, either.
They have to open all the time.
Yeah.
And there's some scary characters in some of them pubs. So what would happen is I got a really good job there, working at a place called Uncle Ben's of Australia, and was making good money. Got on shift work, but what happened was my wife got really lonely, and it was, I didn't really care because I was getting drunk on the way home every day. Just I was trying to escape.
I never would have seen that about you.
Yeah, but I had a lot of that. Yeah,
like a happy-go-lucky.
No. That was the
like
facade.
A normal sort of guy.
Yeah, that was the facade. But I was like you. I think a lot of Christians, or a lot of people that become Christians, you kind of reach that bottom of the pit, the suicide pit.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the only thing that stopped me
End of the road.
and taking my own life was the fact that we had 3 children, and I thought it would be unfair on them. So I made the conscious choice then to, well, I'm going to hang around till they're a little older, and then I'd had enough of this life. And a lot of people get like that. So, cut a longer story short, I came home one day and my wife Dawn said, I want to go to church. And I said, why? She said, well, I'm lonely. And she'd had what you would maybe call a born-again experience when she was very young, but had never been able to have the ability to follow it up, just because of her circumstances, but had always loved and believed Jesus and God, and kind of had that in the background. And so when she said to me, I want to go to church, I was like, okay, you go to church. And she went to church a few times, and then she said, I want to take the kids to church. And I said, oh. And I didn't think my children would want to go to church. But they went to a church service and they came home and they were so excited. And the thing that really blew my mind, it's like, hang on, I tried to go into a Sunday school once when I was a kid and hated it. But here's my kids going to church and loving it. And so this became a thing where they went to church on a Sunday and I stayed home. And I was doing shift work as well, so I had some funny days. And I thought it was going to be great, but what I realised was my family was actually improving. My family were getting happier. My kids were improving. My wife was, but I was going downhill. And then one day my wife came home and she just said to me, she said, Stephen, I've been born again. And my first reaction was, that's an American thing, isn't it? Like an American cult thing? Because I had no idea.
What I said. My sister got saved when she was 12.
Yep.
I was only 17. And I just said to her, "Oh, you've joined a cult."
Yeah.
It's mind control.
It's mind control. And all these things, they get thrown at you.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's fine. But then my wife would start coming home and tell me about these supernatural things that were happening in the church he was going to, and she told me about the pastor there and some of the supernatural things he was doing, and it was just
dopey person.
Some dopey person. And anyway, my wife came home and she was telling me these things, and then there was one night in particular, we came home. And we were lying in bed, and it's late at night, and my wife just leaned over and she said, "I love you." I said, "Thank you." And then she said, and I always remember the tone of voice. She struggled to say it, but she said, "Jesus loves you too." And at the time, I really needed to hear that.
Wow.
And even now, it still affects me. Knowing that somebody could say to you, "Jesus loves you." And anyway, so that was just one instant, and then over the next couple of weeks, my wife would come home with all these stories of the supernatural and things that were going on in this church, and then she started going to some of the church barbecues that they had, and that was great. And then one day she came home and she said, "Look, the church is having a barbecue after the service."
Yeah, I think the first time I actually spoke to you for any length of time was as a church barbecue.
That was it. That was the day. Yeah. And so I went to this bar because my attitude was, well, my wife's got all these friends and the kids are loving this, and I figured there must be nice people, and I thought I better go meet all her new friends, and I thought I've got to find this pastor guy because I've got to find out if he's fake or real or is he pushing people over. I needed to know, and so I went to this church barbecue, and
I was very genuine, but I don't know how real it was.
Well, what was interesting was I was expecting a bit of Bible bashing, but I never got that. What I got was this man wouldn't shut up talking about fishing, and I remember sitting there and you were banging on about fishing, and I'm thinking, I don't fish. It's like this is like, but what I noticed was all the people were really nice. They were sharing. Your wife at the time, Diane, she's an awesome person. Yeah, she was really kind to me, and I really appreciated it. And there was a lot of conversation we had. It was a good time, and I really liked the people. And then we had to leave because I had shift work and had to go to work that night. And as we were leaving, and this is the guy. Okay, you stood up and you said to me, "Look, it's nice to meet you. I hope to see you at church one time." And my thoughts at the time were, you have been so respectful to me in this environment, and you've respected me as a person, that I'm going to respect you back, and I'm going to honour that, and I'm going to come to one of your church services. Wow. And I did say, look, I don't think it was going to be for 2 weeks because of where my shift was going, but it turned out the very following Sunday I was able to go. So I went to this guy's church, and I remember going in, sitting down, and it was rock music. I'd never heard it. I was expecting some big, accordion or some organ or something like that. Music, that kind of thing is what you expect to see.
Where it's traditional happy clappers.
But it was great rock music. It was great worship, and I loved it. And I'm very happy clappy, but done properly. And then I got to listen to this man do a sermon, and all the way through it, I'm thinking, yeah, that's right. You people should be listening to this guy. This is the truth. All the way through it. And then it got to the end of the service, and then this gentleman started doing he quickly explained the gospel in such a way that I could understand it. And I knew he was after me. And he was going up and down the aisles.
Well, how many other new people were there?
There weren't. So I knew you were after me. So I had my young fellow who was only about 6 months old, so I tried to hide behind him.
Good luck with that.
And it didn't work. Because you said, as you were trying, you got to the point where you said, well, I hope you don't get run over by a truck between now and next Sunday. And in my head I went, yeah, that'd be just my luck. Bing! And I thought, what am I wasting my time for? I've got to give this a go. So on the inside I said, Jesus, I do actually believe in you, but I don't understand all this. I said, but here's the deal. If you really are real, I'm going to do this, and I want you to come and live inside of me, and I want you to make me this new creation he's talking about. I didn't understand it, but I want to be different on the inside. I can't live like this. I said, because if you're not real, I'm just going to go home and get stoned and have a few cones. But if you are real, I'll give you my life, because I'm not living the way I really want to. And then I acknowledged you, and you were looking at me, and I got up and I had to walk past about 5 or 6 people to get to the front. And it was the longest walk of my life.
Oh, no. Right?
Listen, if you're watching this and you really don't know Jesus, I just got to say now, there are entities in the realm of the Spirit that are talking to you to try and get you to disbelieve the good news of Jesus. But I want to tell you right here and right now, it's true. He's real. He loves you. He died for you. And he just wants to give you his life.
Absolutely.
And so I went to the front, and you gave me an opportunity to accept Christ into my life. And I always remember I had this...
I can't remember specifically the day, but it sounds like me, but I would normally lead someone in a prayer.
You did.
That I asked them to speak from their own heart.
Yes.
But use my words.
Yes.
Their intent.
Yes.
And it has all the legal contractual stuff in there that brings the protection of God and helps you be adopted into the family rather than just having some kind of mental assent.
Yes.
Or just let's give this a go.
Yeah.
It's like signing the dotted line, so to speak.
Yeah. You were making it real. And I'd like to just continue on with what happened, because I went out the front and we did exactly what we were just talking about. And as it happened, I had a vision, which was weird because I never had visions before. And it was of a man, and he came down through the roof, and it was his feet first. And he stopped above my head, came across to my head, then dropped into me. And it was like, wow, what was that?
Whoa,
yeah, and
freaky.
I thought, yeah, that was, freaky. That was my my thinking at the time. And
I thought mine was bad with the roof opening up. But
and I turned around and went back to my chair, and nobody was really too concerned. People were having conversations. And here's me thinking they'll be laughing and pointing, whatever. And I went and sat down, and then I'll skip a bit, but I ended up driving home, and what was happening was every couple of minutes I wanted to just weep. Now here I'm a grown man, and I've just got this desire to just weep and let it go. And I fought all of this for about 45 minutes until we got home.
Good job.
Yeah, I know. I had a van, and so I had my wife and my daughters got out of the car, and I said to my wife, look, I'll get my young fella at the back of the van, and I'm going to sneak into the house, because my mother-in-law was living with me at the time, and I didn't want her to see me in this state. And as I was getting my young fella, his name's Curtis, awesome young man, as I was getting him out of the baby seat.
So Curtis was in your arms when you gave your life to Christ.
Well, this 45 minutes episode of the blood washing me, which I didn't understand at the time, I just knew I was freaking out. I remember him looking down at me from the seat, sucking on his dummy. As I'm just going, because something came into the car, and it was just like, and I said, I don't know what you are, but you're too big for me, I just give myself to you. Bush, I was laid just flat on the floor, wept for about 2 minutes, then it lifted. So then I grabbed my son, raced into the house, and I was trying to go have a sleep because I was on shift that night. And I couldn't sleep. I was just so alive, so absolutely alive. It was buzzing on the inside.
Wow.
And the church was having another barbecue that particular day, and I thought, I've got to meet this guy, because everything, what is this? This is just crazy. And got to the barbecue, and eventually you turned up, and I cornered you, and I said, mate, you just turned my whole world upside down. And you said, no, Jesus just turned your world the right way up.